Tonight, you're about to discover something strange. Modern life has convinced you that awkward moments are embarrassing, that social anxiety is uncomfortable, and that first dates are complicated. But trust me, compared to what you're about to experience, your life is astonishingly simple. Because tonight, you aren't simply learning about history, you're stepping into it. Somehow, through circumstances impossible to explain, you've awakened in London in the year 1861. The British Empire stretches across the globe. Queen Victoria sits upon the throne. Steam engines are changing the world, yet despite all this progress, the people around you are imprisoned by something far more powerful than iron or stone. They are imprisoned by manners, by invisible rules, by expectations that govern every word, every smile, every glance, and even every heartbeat. Before you've even opened your eyes completely, your entire day has already been decided by traditions older than your grandparents. And the truly remarkable thing is that nobody seems to question any of it. Everyone simply accepts the rules. Because in Victorian England, reputation means everything, comfort means very little, and appearances mean more than truth. You slowly awaken beneath heavy blankets inside a room so cold that your first instinct is to pull the covers over your head and remain there forever. The weak morning light struggles through thick curtains, and outside your window the sky is a dull gray color that seems to belong exclusively to London. Somewhere far below, horse-drawn carriages rumble over uneven cobblestones. Their iron wheels create a sound unlike anything from your own century. A dog barks in the distance. A church bell strikes the hour. And hanging over everything is the smell, coal smoke, endless coal smoke. It enters through every crack in the walls and mixes with the scent of old books, polished wood, and lavender oil. The air itself feels heavy, as though London is wrapped inside a giant blanket of fog and soot. Beside your bed stands a small table with a silver candlestick and a tiny bell. There are no alarms, no phones, no clocks glowing in the darkness. Instead, you reach toward the bell and ring it softly. Within seconds, footsteps echo along the hallway. The door opens and your maid enters with practiced grace, already fully dressed and perfectly composed despite the early hour. She curtsies politely and wishes you a good morning as though she hasn't been awake since before sunrise. And suddenly, without warning, you realize something that sends a strange chill down your spine. You are not alone in this life. Every movement you make is observed. Every habit you possess is noticed. Privacy, that precious thing you took for granted, barely exists here. As your maid opens the curtains, revealing the gloomy London morning beyond the window, she calmly informs you that today will be particularly busy. The words alone are enough to make your stomach tighten. Busy with what? Surely not work. Surely not adventure. No, something far more exhausting awaits you. Social obligations, visits, invitations, letters, tea, proper conversations, correct behavior, endless rules. In this world, entire reputations are built upon things modern people wouldn't even notice. The way you sit, the speed at which you walk, how loudly you laugh, which hand you use while eating, the exact amount of time you spend visiting a neighbor, the subjects you discuss, the emotions you reveal, even the direction of your eyes while speaking to a gentleman carries meaning. One mistake, one careless word, one moment of excessive enthusiasm, and whispers begin. Those whispers spread through drawing rooms and dinner tables faster than any modern internet scandal. People may forgive poverty, they may forgive misfortune, but they never forgive impropriety. Soon comes the daily ritual every respectable young woman secretly dreads. Dressing. Not the effortless process you're accustomed to, but a military campaign disguised as fashion. Layer after layer is placed upon your body, the chemise, the stockings, the petticoats. More petticoats, underskirts, buttons, ribbons, pins. Fabric upon fabric until you feel less like a human being and more like a carefully wrapped gift no one intends to open. Then comes the corset, the magnificent instrument of torture that Victorian society somehow convinced women to admire. Your maid pulls the laces tighter and tighter with a calm professionalism that suggests she's done this hundreds of times before. Breathing becomes a challenge. Sitting becomes an engineering problem. Yet everyone insists that beauty requires sacrifice. Strange, you think? Nobody ever asks men to rearrange their internal organs for fashion, but questioning such things would be considered unladylike. And so you stand before the mirror transformed into exactly what society expects: elegant, restrained, respectable, perfect, and entirely uncomfortable. Downstairs, breakfast awaits. The dining room is pleasantly warm, illuminated by the pale rays of morning sunlight filtering through lace curtains and the gentle crackling of the fire that has been burning since dawn. Your father sits at the head of the table exactly where he sits every morning, hidden behind the pages of the Times, reading with such concentration that he barely notices the steam rising from his tea. Across from him, your mother is already at work, though not in any way a modern person might recognize. She isn't rushing to an office or answering messages. Instead, she is writing letters, each sentence carefully crafted with graceful penmanship, managing invitations, social calls, charitable obligations, and half a dozen arrangements before breakfast has even properly begun. Around you, servants move quietly, almost invisibly, refilling cups, bringing toast, and clearing plates, without disturbing the peaceful atmosphere. Yet, despite the warmth and elegance of the room, something feels strangely formal. There are no loud greetings, no affectionate hugs, no playful teasing. Your father does not kiss your mother good morning. Your mother does not squeeze your hand affectionately. Love exists here, certainly, but it hides itself beneath layers of manners, routines, and discipline. Feelings are rarely spoken. They are demonstrated through punctuality, responsibility, and proper conduct. You exchange polite greetings, nothing excessive, and settle into your chair. Tea is poured, toast is buttered, eggs are served. The clock on the mantelpiece ticks softly while the silverware reflects the dancing light of the fire. It all seems so calm, so perfectly ordered that you almost forget how exhausting Victorian society can be. But then your mother lowers her pen and casually mentions the afternoon's plans as though discussing the weather. Lady Ashbury will be receiving visitors today, and naturally she intends to stop by afterward. Miss Eleanor Bennet may accompany her, assuming her headaches have improved. And perhaps if the weather remains agreeable, Mr. Frederick Harrington will pay a call. He returned from Oxford only 3 days ago and has already resumed his place within society. Your mother says his name with complete indifference, but you notice the slight glance she exchanges with your father over the rim of her teacup. Your father lowers his newspaper just enough to nod approvingly before returning to his reading. It is such a brief exchange that you almost miss it. Almost. The name means very little to you, merely another gentleman, merely another educated young man with good manners and proper breeding, merely another afternoon spent discussing the weather, recent concerts, and perhaps some harmless observations about literature or music. Nothing remarkable, certainly nothing exciting. At least that's what you're expected to believe. Outside, London continues its endless routine. Carriages roll through muddy streets. Shopkeepers open their shutters. Chimneys fill the gray sky with coal smoke. Clerks hurry toward banks and offices while servants scrub steps and deliver milk. Somewhere, church bells announce the hour, and somewhere beyond the maze of fog-covered streets, another person is beginning his day. At this very moment, Frederick Harrington sits in his own family's dining room, equally unaware of the strange little threads fate has begun weaving around both your lives. He probably complains inwardly about the endless obligations awaiting him. He perhaps wishes he had remained at Oxford a little longer, away from London and its endless parade of dinner parties, social calls, and expectations. Perhaps his mother is reminding him to visit old acquaintances. Perhaps his father is discussing business prospects. Perhaps he has no desire whatsoever to spend his afternoon making polite conversation with people he barely knows. Perhaps he considers the entire ritual tedious. And yet neither of you realizes that destiny rarely announces itself with fanfare. It doesn't arrive with trumpets or grand speeches. More often it appears disguised as ordinary moments, a social call, a shared cup of tea, a conversation about books, a glance across a drawing room. You continue your breakfast, unaware that your life is quietly approaching a crossroads. In your world, touching hands is scandalous. Walking alone with a gentleman is unthinkable. A young woman cannot openly express interest, and a gentleman must bury his emotions beneath courtesy and restraint. Courtship itself is an elaborate dance in which everyone pretends they are not dancing, Mothers observe, fathers approve, servants gossip, neighbors speculate. Every smile carries meaning, every word is examined, every pause in conversation becomes important. And in a society where passion is hidden and affection wears a mask, the smallest things become enormous. A gentleman remembering your favorite composer, a slightly prolonged glance, a compliment carefully disguised as politeness, a request to turn pages while you play the piano. Such tiny moments would seem insignificant in another age. But here in Victorian England, they are powerful enough to keep young hearts awake at night. And somewhere without your knowledge, Frederick Harrington has already heard your name. Perhaps only in passing. Perhaps his mother mentioned that the Wilson family is respectable and that their daughter plays beautifully. Perhaps an old acquaintance from Oxford described your kindness. Or perhaps your names have never crossed paths at all. But fate, patient as ever, seems unconcerned with such details. It moves slowly, almost invisibly, arranging meetings and opportunities with the calm certainty of someone who knows the ending long before the story begins. Neither of you understands that before the season comes to an end, there will be afternoon teas, music evenings, carriage rides, jealous rivals, awkward introductions, and conversations spoken in perfect politeness but filled with hidden meaning. And neither of you can possibly imagine that one day, years from now, when life has changed and the memories of youth have softened, you'll both remember this ordinary breakfast morning and smile at how little you understood about what was waiting just beyond the next knock at the door.